very fast out of town. Does he help them win? You're under 500. Aaron Judge helps the Yankees win. You're paying the player $300 million. You better be sure that that guy's going to help you get over the hump. For some reason, this guy is completely lost on calling plays. Maybe he's a therapist. Jackson crying to the referee. No, he didn't. We are back for a new show of the Sports Loudmouth. My name is Errol Marks, my co-host, Speedy Petey, our executive producer, Mr. Aaron Fishman, and our Sports Minute, Mr. Tommy Scoops. 631-672-3108 is the number to call. Go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. Check out all our shows throughout the week, including the Loudmouth with me and Speedy Petey every single Mondays and Wednesdays at 7:30 p.m. All you have to do to tune in and check out our local listings for all our shows is go to our website at www.worldwidesportsradio.com. By the way, ladies and gentlemen, it has been an interesting day when it comes to the weather. It was pouring rain all morning long, then it becomes sunny. It's like summer weather now. I don't understand this weather here in New York. It's fall time. We're going into winter, and we had like 78-degree weather today. It was just ridiculous. I don't like this weather. Everybody knows I can't stand the heat. This should be football weather. It should be like in the 50s consistently. It's not, and I just can't stand it. Speedy, what's up, man?
Crazy weekend for my sports teams. The Mets with two wild games, absolutely. The win game one out of nowhere and then lose game two. Edwin Diaz struggling a little bit, but still have trust in him. And then the Giants out of nowhere. I'm like, I'm going to just put the Giants game on my phone because I have no faith in them winning, actually. And then they actually win.
The problem is, and I've said this all along about Giant fans, is they don't trust Daniel Jones. But I trust Daniel Jones, and I am not even a Giants fan. And Daniel Jones showed up on Sunday, as he's done really all season long. Just his team doesn't. And the coaching is just horrific, usually. But Brian Daboll, I think, understands what his strengths are, and I think he's starting to use Daniel Jones' strengths. And Daniel Jones has looked like a quality quarterback the last couple of weeks. So, and I like Daniel Jones, and I hope nothing but the best for him. And hopefully the Giants decide in the offseason that this guy is the future quarterback. Stop with going into the draft every single year trying to find the guy that's going to fill in that spot, that void that they haven't had since Eli Manning, which everybody couldn't stand Eli Manning before he won the Super Bowl in 2007. So a lot to get into today, but yeah, I just want to let everybody know that it's been a horrific weekend. I dealt with so many things, and I'm just happy to be here. I'm happy to just have some outbursts when it comes to sports. And my outbursts are going to be poured on my teams today. I'm going to tell you that right now, as the New York Jets are just an absolute debacle of an organization. And we will get into that first. But first, at 8:30, we'll be talking to Savannah Bananas co-head coach. He's been on our show. We're very happy to have him on again. Adam Viren. He will be on a show a little bit later in the show. At 9 o'clock, we'll be talking to former 11-year MLB catcher, my friend, Jimmy Lawrence, for the first time on the Sports Loudmouth. I've been to a couple of events with Jimmy. Jimmy is a nice guy. He's been through so many controversial things in his past. And then, you know, how just remarkable how his past hasn't taken control of his life. And he's really changed his life. And he's become not only just a good face for Yankee baseball, just a good face for baseball. And so many different things so many events that he goes to, and so much that he stands for. So I'm very happy to have Jimmy join our show a little bit later. But Colin Cowherd said that Aaron Rodgers went into the dark retreat during the Jets' 23-17 loss against the Vikings. He added that Rodgers' body language is some of the worst in the NFL for a quarterback and is always blaming somebody else. He added that Robert Bambi Saleh shouldn't be blamed for their struggles because the Jets defense has played great without much of the pass rush. Craig Carton said that the Jets are starting to look like the same old Jets again. WFAN's Brandon Tierney says that the Aaron Rodgers looks old and frustrated. Sports Illustrated's Albert Breer reports that Davante Adams sweepstakes is pretty much down to the Jets and the Saints, and the Raiders want to make the decision very, very soon. The deal could happen within the next 48 hours, and the Raiders are likely to get a second-round draft pick and maybe a day 3 pick for Davante Adams. A lot to get into if you're a New York Jet fan, and I don't want to hear any excuses on Sunday. It was an early game. It was in London. So many Jet fans showed up in London to see a team not even show up in the first half. Nobody showed up in the first half. I think Bambi was hanging out with, a couple of flowers or, skunks or, rabbits. I don't know what he was hanging out with, but he wasn't hanging out with his football team. That's for sure. His problem, and I've been saying this over and over and over and over again about this team, is he does not know how to lead. Robert Saleh has had a problem with this team since he's taken over. Is he doesn't know how to lead men. When he was over there in San Francisco, everybody trusted his way or the highway when it comes to the defense. Everybody. Richard Sherman spoke high regards of him when he left Seattle to go to San Francisco and took his talents to San Francisco. And he said Robert Saleh was his best defensive coordinator he's ever played under. We've heard so many different defensive players speak so much high regards to this man, that he's a great leader, that they play with him or play for him no matter where he went. And he's drawn some players to come and play for him with the New York Jets. But the guy is a failure as a head coach. His record shows you he's not a successful coach. His problem really, intensifies when his defense isn't playing well early in the game. His defense did not show up in the first half. It did not. It was the second half where the defense shut down the Vikings offense. The Vikings had, 6 points in the second half? 2 field goal kicks. They were up 17-7 going into the third quarter. They were up 17-0 until 2 minutes of that, 2 minutes going into the half. The Jets just couldn't figure things out. They couldn't figure it out. And everybody wants to point it to Aaron Rodgers. It's Aaron Rodgers' fault. Did he look good? No, he threw 2 interceptions in the first half. He threw 3 interceptions in the whole game. It's not the first time Aaron Rodgers has done that. He's done it 5 times in his career. 5 times. And I was speaking to Mark Everett Kelly after the game, and he said the last time Aaron Rodgers did that was, I think, 2018, 2019. He's done it 5 times in his career. This guy is one of the most accurate quarterbacks in NFL history. He is the most accurate quarterback in NFL history. But for some reason, he came to the New York Jets. He gets hurt with 4 plays last year, didn't play at all last year, comes back. Everybody was expecting high regards of the type of player that he was when he played in Green Bay, that he has the tremendous talent, the tremendous arm strength and arm ability. And this team is just not playing well. And that has a lot to do with coaching. Nathaniel Hackett can hack it. He doesn't know how to coach. This offense doesn't know what the hell they're doing. They're running the wrong routes. Aaron Rodgers is calling audibles at the line of scrimmage. You can see him calling audibles and check downs, and you see the running backs. They have no idea what's going on. They don't know if they're running or they're going to catch in the backfield or going to be decoys in the open field or even blocking for them. Allen's a rookie. So there's no excuses for Breece Hall, okay? There's no excuses. He's been in the league for 3 years. This guy has been an elite running back. And again, the problem is they're not running the right routes. Garrett Wilson, I've heard the analysts in the game say that this was Garrett Wilson's best game. Yeah, when he sees the ball 20 to 22 times, of course he's going to have a good game. He'd be sorry if he didn't. Anybody that sees the ball 22 times thrown to him should have a good game. But teams are going to figure that out. And Allen Lazard didn't catch the ball in the most important parts of the game. And this is, again, a problem for Allen Lazard. He can't hold on to the ball. And again, I'm not making any excuses for Aaron Rodgers. I know everybody's probably saying, oh, there he goes, making excuses for Aaron Rodgers. You love Aaron Rodgers. No, I'm not making any excuses for him. Aaron Rodgers has a lot to be blamed for in that game. A lot. A lot. But it's not all his fault. He's calling the plays. These guys got to run them. Mike Williams was the only player I felt, and he's been here for what? 4 games, 5 games? He's finally getting a chance to play and see the ball. He's the only one that I can honestly say looks like a competent wide receiver when he's running a route. When he's running a route. Aaron doesn't throw him the ball enough. And at the end of the game, that interception, that was a hold. Right there. That was a hold. That was a penalty. The fact that the refs didn't call that as a penalty is a debacle. But again, throughout that game, Minnesota was getting the calls and the Jets just weren't. They weren't. But that's not an excuse. You're going to see that a lot in the NFL. You're going to see that. And Aaron, puts his head up. He's complaining. There's so many things that Robert Saleh said at his press conference at the end of the game that makes me shake my head. The fact that Aaron Rodgers up there, he's trying to speak to the press, and the press are really nailing him down, trying to point, certain situations and certain plays that were called at the line of scrimmage and the audible plays were his fault when he probably was not taking responsibility for some of the plays and some of the routes that these players were running, which it is half of his fault, but not all of his fault. Breece Hall is not the same player he was last year. He was not in this game, and he wasn't in the last couple of weeks. I don't know where the Jets go with this, but I'm going to tell you this. Monday Night Football in front of the world, and they've been in front of the world how many times so far? In the first 5 games of the season, they have been in prime time 3 times. This was the primetime game because it was the first game of Sunday. It was London. It was the only game being played at 9:30 in the morning. To me, that's prime time, where everybody has their eyes on you. They've been on a Thursday night football game. They've been on a Monday night football game. And now they're going to play in another Monday night football game in front of everyone against the Buffalo Bills at MetLife. And again, to the Jet fans that are all over social media saying that Aaron Rodgers looks old, he's the problem. Really? 2 weeks ago, you had a love fest for him after he beat New England 24-3. And I told all the Jet fans, this is the New England Patriots. They stink. Stink. They have no offense. They have Stevenson. That's it. They have no wide receivers. They have all number 3s and number 4s. Yes, Jeff, no number 2s. They're all 3s and 4s, if lucky. They have nothing. And again, we're going back and forth about the New York Jets because it's not just the way they play. It's how they lose. It's how they lose. They had a chance to beat the Broncos, even though they played a putrid game at MetLife last week. They still had a chance to win. Greg the Leg, who got a 2-year extension in the offseason because of what he did last year. He was one of the best kickers in the league, one of the most consistent ones in the AFC. He gets a 2-year extension from the Jets because they didn't want to lose him to free agency. And he missed two very important kicks throughout the game, especially the final one, 50 yards, what could have won him the game. Too many mistakes. Too many mistakes. And if you make mistakes in the NFL, a lot of these teams are they're so close to one another. It's not even New England, who absolutely stinks. They're not too far apart from the Jets. They're not too far apart from Buffalo. Any given Sunday, anybody could win because a lot of these teams have talent in certain positions. So, yes, when you look at it, you're trying to connect the dots with what the Jets have done over the last couple of weeks. What I can tell you right now is the two wins the Jets have had against the Titans and New England was expected. They should have beaten the Titans. They have Will Levis throwing the ball. And they should beat the New England Patriots because, one, they have a rookie coach, and two, they have Jacoby Brissett as their quarterback. And when they've played good quarterbacks, and yes, Sam Darnold is a good quarterback. For all you Jet fans that didn't want Sam Darnold and the Jets just decided to banish him from the organization and only getting a second and a fourth from him. And I think now when you see what Sam Darnold is doing and what he's producing, he didn't have such a great game. He didn't play well on Sunday, but he did enough to win. He did enough to win against Green Bay the week before. He had a great first half and he played like crap the second half. But guess what? He did enough to win. And in the NFL, all you need to do is do enough to win. And you could do enough to lose. And Aaron Rodgers knows about that. Robert Saleh knows about that. And we all definitely know Nathaniel Hackett knows everything about that. I can't sit here and make any excuses for this team. And I won't, because I'm an honest Jet fan. I'm wearing my Jets hat because I'm a Jet fan. Facts are facts. I'm wearing a pink Jets hat because this year, or this month, is obviously Breast Cancer Month. And I'm a supportive person when it comes to breast cancer. And I know a couple of people that lost their parents from breast cancer. So I stand for what I believe in. And I stand for my team, even though I can't believe they lost a game that I thought, even though this team, the Minnesota Vikings, were 4-0 going into the game, that I thought that the Jets were the better team. They had the more talent behind them with the running backs and with the wide receivers and even with the defense. And the only thing I saw on Sunday is Sauce Gardner. Yes, Sauce Gardner getting the penalties that he got, and DJ Reed making valuable mistakes in the game, which cost the Jets. And this is supposed to be a great secondary, one of the best secondaries in football. And I've argued that it is. But Sauce Gardner is no Darrelle Revis. And DJ Reed is no Antonio Cromartie. And you Jet fans that were sitting there and trying to compare this duo to that duo, there's no comparison. Stop it. There is no comparison to Antonio Cromartie and Darrelle Revis in the primes of their careers. Because honestly, what I've seen week in and week out this year, especially this year, is Sauce Gardner lackadaisical, making mistakes at the line of scrimmage, pulling and tugging on players, which we've been seeing since he's come into the league, but getting caught by the refs. And DJ Reed making careless mistakes in the open field. This is a defense that on paper is one of the best defenses in the league. One of the worst teams on third downs. One of the worst. And I don't care where they're ranked in the NFL. For all you Jet fans who are saying the Jets are a top 5 defense, when it counts, they're not. When it counts, they're not. On third downs, they're one of the worst teams in the NFL. And yes, that what Fish is showing right now on the video feed, that interception that Aaron Rodgers threw to Van Ginkel was horrible. It was horrible. It really was. But you know why it was really horrible? Because none of the players were running the right routes. If you watch that play, I don't know if anybody saw the play or watched the game. Nobody was even turned around when he threw that ball. Everybody was still running their routes. Mike Williams was supposed to turn around and get ready to catch the ball in that slot area. He doesn't even turn around. Ginkle read it, took it, pick six, right into the end zone. There's no excuses to this team. And if they lose against Buffalo on Monday Night Football, Bambi Saleh needs to be, he needs to be fired. Okay.
Up to down.
He needs to be fired. You see, I'm so stuttery because there's nothing I could say about this team that I can make any more excuses for the coaching staff or the players. Somebody needs to go. It's not going to be Joe Douglas. It's going to be Saleh. If they lose on Monday Night Football on a national stage at MetLife against their nemesis, the Buffalo Bills, Josh Allen just lost his back-to-back games. He just lost back-to-back games, just like the Jets. Whoever wins this game on Monday Night Football is going to have sole custody of first place in the AFC East. Yes, as bad as the Jets have been the last few weeks, the Jets have a chance to be in first place in the AFC East if they beat the Buffalo Bills on Monday Night Football.
And Colin Cowherd, a message for you that is trying to protect Robert Saleh just because the Jets defense on paper played well. That's still not the overall job of a head coach. Now, I think I've been stubborn in the past with teams, with the Jets trying to evolve their schemes and evolve their game plans. And I think they tried to do that with Garrett Wilson with his comments last week, trying to get him more involved. But here's the problem with that. When Garrett Wilson got 22 targets in that game, like Brian Flores kind of bought into that kind of thing and still out-coached Robert Saleh and Nathaniel Hackett and said, all right, we're going to go double team Allen Lazard because Allen Lazard is eventually going to get the targets. And what did you know? Like you said, the game plan eventually caught up to him in the fourth quarter. That second interception was a horrible throw. Double teamed right into Allen Lazard. Why? Because eventually Aaron Rodgers is going to have to make the adjustment to try to go to Allen Lazard. And they've had a great game plan all game for all those running backs. And that's the difference in coaching. Fish was just showing the first interception with Van Ginkel before. He made Van Ginkel look like a blitzer, drops back into coverage. What happens? Pick six. Why? Because they knew those route patterns were going to come because they were trying to adjust to that to get more quicker concepts. And that kind of thing, while the initial game plan to get a different look might have been better, they never adjusted in the first and second quarter. And what do you know? You're down 17-0.
And when you fall down 17-0, it's all about chasing. And by the way, how many times have we seen this year the Jets have the lead in the game? How many times have we seen it? 3, 4 times all season long?
And how big of a lead? So
it's been horrible. The only game that they really looked like they were going to pull away was the Patriot game.
Right.
Even the Tennessee Titan game, they shouldn't have won that game. If Will Levis didn't make those mistakes, they probably win that game. The Titans probably win that game. It's just there's mistake after mistake, coaching blunder after coaching blunder. And Robert Saleh, all he does, and I said this over and over and over again, he looks like a deer in the headlights. His head's between his legs, and he's looking at his testicles half the time. And then when his head's up, you wonder if he actually knows what's going on in the game. I really sincerely believe that Robert Saleh has no answers. And I do believe that him and Aaron Rodgers are not getting along. There is something going on in that locker room that we don't know, even though people see it. Nobody knows exactly what it is, but there's something going on with him and Robert Saleh. You saw it in the New England Patriot game on Thursday Night Football. You saw it. And I know Aaron says, and Robert were like pushing it away like it was nothing. But honestly, I saw it before it was even becoming a story. And I told Fish to post that up, the picture. And then everybody started posting that up on social media after the game. I saw it. I was watching it. I saw his face. You know when Aaron Rodgers is not happy, his eyes get big, and he makes these faces. You see it. He's either frustrated or he's pissed off. You knew when Tom Brady was upset.
Oh, yeah.
You knew it.
All tablets were being destroyed.
Not even that. You see it in his face. You see him yelling, cursing, looking down and just screaming at himself and everybody else around him. You know when he's pissed off. It's just, there is something going on with this team. Maybe there needs to be a coaching change right now. Maybe to give them some kind of confidence. Now, I don't want Nathaniel Hackett to be the head coach of this team. We definitely don't want to see that.
No.
Maybe they fire Nathaniel Hackett and bring in another offensive coordinator. Maybe play Downs. Maybe let Downs take over for the team. He's been the offensive coordinator with the Titans, I think it was. I think it's Downs.
I think it was Todd Downing. Yeah,
Downing.
Titans offensive coordinator.
He was the offensive, maybe making him the full-time offensive coordinator and changing it up. But it worked well for the Buffalo Bills last year when Brady took over. Maybe that's the way the Jets go. If it doesn't work out on Monday Night Football, I don't know. And I know Aaron Rodgers is not going to be happy with that if Nathaniel Hackett gets fired. But guess what? It's not Aaron Rodgers' team anymore. It's not. If Robert Saleh wants to be taken seriously right now, he needs to take the bull by its horns. And he needs to say, you know what? This is my team. I could lose my job tomorrow if I can't get this team to play for me. And Aaron, you're going to go out there and you're going to do what I ask you to do. And that's go win a football game. And everybody's talking about this whole Davante Adams thing. Is this going to make this Jets team a Super Bowl contender if they make this move for Davante Adams? The answer, no. Because even with Davante Adams and Garrett Wilson on this roster, and yes, they will look explosive. On paper, it looks good, but on the field, it might not. The Jets can't run the ball. They are one-dimensional. One-dimensional. Last week, not this week, last week, all-purpose yards and scrimmage yards. Do you know how many yards Breece Hall ran last week? 9 yards. He was at a negative before the second half started. At a negative. Breece Hall. Everybody thought was going to be a top 3 running back.
Yeah, and Bo Nix a negative passing yards, so they still couldn't execute.
This is a problem. If they can't run the ball and they're one-dimensional, and teams know they're going to play one-dimensional, you're going to have Aaron Rodgers throw the ball 55, 60 times, you're in trouble. Even with those Green Bay Packer teams, they had good running games. Every year they had good running games. They never had a weak running game when Aaron Rodgers was there. They never played one-dimensional football. And now you see Aaron Rodgers playing one-dimensional football, and we've seen every single quarterback, great quarterbacks, young quarterbacks, come here to this team at the top of their games. The only person that really showed up when he came here to the New York Jets and took over and was a pretty good Jet was Vinny Testaverde. He was the only veteran quarterback that came here and was successful. And now Aaron Rodgers, all the Jet fans were so excited. Aaron Rodgers is going to be our quarterback. And the only thing we've seen Aaron Rodgers do this year that I've seen, and I'm going to complain about, is go up there, speak to the press, go to a bunch of events, flash himself, dance around, prance around like he's the king of New York, and has done nothing. Done absolutely nothing for this team or this organization. On Hard Knocks, he was over there. He was making suggestions. It was everything. Everybody was like, oh, we got Aaron Rodgers. Everybody wanted his autograph. You have Chris Sweeney. Yes, Chris, I'm going to throw you under the bus. Chris Sweeney, who I've given an opportunity to get autographed jerseys from guys that we've had on the show. Kiss Aaron Rodgers' ring, his ass. Aaron Rodgers might as well have taken off his underwear and signed it.
Before we get fish in, Keith said Rodgers was awful. Sauce got smoked all day long. You could say they were a top 3 defense before the year. Aaron needs to fire himself as the offensive coordinator. He blows, and the Testaverde team had a good offensive line.
All right, Fish, your thoughts.
My thoughts are they don't call good plays. It might not be the routes. It might be the plays. I think that the problem is you take a look at that pick 6. All 3 receivers on that side just ran little stop routes like we're playing JV football. That I've done that when I was a JV football coach, which is fine if you can get it off right away, except they knew that was coming. Brian Flores might end up being, assistant coach of the year, the way that he's going right now with the game plans he has, befuddling everyone he's faced. Giants look terrible against him. Apparently, Giants aren't as bad. We'll talk about them soon. The 49ers couldn't do anything against him. Purdy was completely stopped. And Aaron Rodgers threw 3 picks against this Vikings defense. They don't have, any like superstars on that defense. So it's obviously a great scheme that's really bringing some good players together to play at a high level. Van Ginkel was great in Miami the year before. I think
Can't say
that
healthy.
he's really underrated. Really, well, look, he's a lot of the problems with the Miami guys. They can't stay healthy. But I'll tell you what, he dropped and read Rodgers and picked it off because they knew that play was coming. Whether it was Flores or Van Ginkel or a combination of both of them, Rodgers got schooled by Flores in that game. He threw 3 picks. He threw less than 50.
Well, if you watch that play, Van Ginkel did know it was coming to him. But guess what? The wide receiver that he was throwing to didn't even turn around for the ball. He had no idea it was coming to him. And that's the problem. Nobody's running the right routes. Alan Lazard, who knows Aaron Rodgers very, very well, there were points in the game that he was throwing him the ball and it was hitting him from behind. He didn't even know it was coming to him. That's the problem. He's calling the plays and they don't even know what the plays are. That is coaching. That has everything to do with coaching. It has nothing to do with the players and what the players weren't doing. It's all about what you're practicing at, practice. You guys, they're practicing these plays all week long. Nathaniel Hackett is calling the plays, and these guys are running it over and over and over and over again at practice. How do you not know when you're calling the play that you got to turn around or you got to run right instead of left or go forward instead of backwards? It's horrible. This is horrible football. This is I would have never believed I'm going to say this. This is the worst offense I've seen in a very long time. Like really long time. Even Adam Gase, even with all the other coaches we've seen over the last couple of years, it's just a better run offense. Nathaniel Hackett is horrible. And Robert Saleh coming out and saying that you got to go through him this year before the play is going to be called, it makes it even look even worse. It's horrible.
I saw a stat. Shout out to our guy Austin Gale. I think it said the Jets, I think, scored the same amount of points through 5 games last year as they did this year.
By the way, Keith, last year's offense was not worse. Actually, it wasn't. As a matter of fact, Breece Hall had a fantastic year running the ball last year with a weaker offensive line. You heard it from me. Weaker offensive line. We had 16 injuries on the offensive line, and you could still run the ball. You had Zach Wilson. By the way, do you know that Zach Wilson at this time of season last year had at least one week with 300 yards in a game? How many has Aaron Rodgers had? None. He hasn't thrown a 300-yard game yet this year. Zach Wilson in 5 weeks had that game where he threw over 300 yards against Kansas City. This is a problem. Don't say that the offense last year was worse. It wasn't. This offense, this Jets offense, the Jets have a better record than they did last year. That's because of the teams that they're playing. But this offense is worse than it was last year. And again, and you have a healthy Aaron Rodgers. Who would have thought that Aaron Rodgers would have, I think, close to, no, actually, he has more interceptions than he does of touchdowns. I don't know exactly. I don't know the numbers, but I'm pretty much going to predict that Aaron Rodgers has thrown more interceptions than touchdowns this year. What is the numbers? Does anybody have the numbers right now? I'm
bringing it up.
I'm going to predict this. If he has more touchdowns, it's like an 8-7 ratio. I would say Aaron has 8 touchdowns to 7 interceptions. It's very close. What is it?
It's 7 to 4. 7 to 4. It's not as bad as it seems.
So
but only 61% completion percentage, down from his 65% career. He's only throwing it an average of 6.3 yards a pass. He's over 7.5 for 7.7 for his career.
So he has 7 touchdowns to 4 interceptions.
He's putting up pedestrian numbers for Aaron Rodgers. Let's face it. And I think you hit it on the nail on the head, Errol. I want to put up a clip right here on why they are so bad. Here's 2 straight runs, 3rd and 2, 4th and 2 in the red zone. They don't get the points, by the way, because they go for it and get absolutely nothing with both of their running backs. But take a look back at these sets. they are running up against too many guys because, again, they have it schemed because they know what the Jets are going to do. The Jets are so predictable when they get into personnel groupings. Over here, there's an extra guy that's not going to be blocked on the first play, coming right through. Actually, I'm sorry, it was the second play. They just out-toughed on the right side of the line on that. Right but here, you can see that he's getting hit in the backfield on 4th and 2 because the blocking scheme calls. And let me explain how dumb this is. On 4th and 2, they have an extra guy over there. Now, you're going to bring a receiver across the formation to block a hard rushing end who's the only guy that can make the play, and then have the tight end just do nothing? Look at what happens. Tight end just gets out of the way. That guy gets in there. He never has a chance. But if the tight end went for the second guy in, the linebacker, who's straight over his head at the start of the play, by the way, very simple block for him. And then you just have, maybe you wait for the receiver to get out there and they just make a wall. This is basic shit. You can't make this up. And they don't get points. It could be a one-possession game in the second quarter if they kick the field goal. Or maybe they continue on. It's too simple. It's so easy for a guy like Flores.
They can't run the ball. That's the facts. There's no explanation to anything else that you're saying, Fish. The fact is they can't run the ball. They have no chance of winning a football game if they can't figure out what is going on with this running game. And what's crazy about it is they have two really good backs. Two backs that can take over a game. Allen is a good back, and Breece Hall, even though he has looked like a shell of what he was last year, is a good back. So if your two good backs can't do anything, look at the Giants. They have Singletary, okay? Singletary is nowhere close to the talent Breece Hall is, and he's nowhere close to the talent Allen is. But he's still putting up numbers. And by the way, the offensive line for the Giants is nowhere close to the talent the Jets have. And they're playing better than the Jets are. And you know why they're playing better? Is because of the play calling. Their offensive line coach actually is a competent offensive line coach. Their coach, even though I'm not a big fan of his because he's like a dictator, he actually is a good offensive mind. And their defensive coach, who, you know, is up and down really all season long, shows up in certain aspects of the game and actually calls the right play. The Jets on third downs this year have been one of the worst defenses in the league. Go look at it. The Jets have given up more third down plays than any team in football. Any team in football. You go to even Carolina. Look at the big teams. Look at New England. Nobody's given up more third downs than the New York Jets. Nobody. And the fact that the Jets are 2-3 right now is like it's like God giving them a gift. He's giving you a gift. And all you Jet fans, you should enjoy yourself with your nice bracelets that you're going to get at MetLife when you play the Buffalo Bills. Because the last time they met at MetLife, go ask Aaron Rodgers what happened. Go ask him. The last time the Buffalo Bills played the Jets at MetLife, I think it was on Monday night. Was it not?
9/11.
Monday Night Football. What happened to Aaron Rodgers? 4 plays, he was out for the season. So, and the Jets actually won that game in overtime. This game is so very important for Robert Saleh, Aaron Rodgers, and you, the Jet fans. Because if the Jets lose this game on Monday night, Robert Saleh and this team are done. I'm telling you, I know everybody's going to say, well, they're 2-4. It's not over yet. It's over. The confidence level of this team is crap. There is no confidence. And the fact that everybody wants to say they have 2 wins, they play 2 garbage teams, 2 teams that shouldn't even have 1 win. I mean, the Patriots shouldn't have a win, and neither should the Titans. They're horrible. Horrible. So, and you have a Hall of Fame quarterback that after the game had really nothing to say. He had nothing to say. He says, we got to play better. Duh. I mean, what are you going to say? What I'm going to tell you as a Jet fan, and for all you Jet fans out there that have made excuses and say, now all of a sudden everybody wants to point their fingers at Aaron Rodgers. He's the problem. He's the problem. I saw so many posts today that Aaron Rodgers is the problem. No, he's not the problem. Wake up, guys. Wake up. It is your coach. That's the problem. That's the problem. And I've been saying this for 2 years. Why doesn't anybody listen to me? Bambi is the problem. Get it through your damn skulls. All you Jet fans out there who sucks. You know why they suck? Because the coaching staff doesn't know what the hell they're doing. The reason why the Jets are not a winning organization is for years, year after year after year, bringing in the wrong coach. Wrong coach. When are they going to get it right? When are they going to figure this out? Horrible. Absolutely horrible. 45 minutes on the New York Jets. Makes me sick.